Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of The Ro Show. This is Ro, your host today and every day. Today's episode is about sexual abuse, and one of the best ways to recover from trauma can be through telling your story. So today I want to thank our guest, Natalie, for coming on and sharing her story. My hope is that by doing so, not only will it help her in her healing journey, but also help others out there that are suffering. So Natbug, okay, I call Natalie Natbug. Sorry, she's going to be Natbug for this episode. So I did some research in preparation for this episode, and during that preparation, I came across a term called grooming. Are you familiar with grooming?
Very much so.
Damn, I wasn't. So for the audience's sake, I'm going to bring you guys up to speed on grooming and what it is. Grooming is the slow, methodical, and intentional process of manipulating a person to a point where they can be victimized. It's the process of gaining one's trust and then moving in from there. More times than not, sexual abuse starts very slowly over time with the victim being groomed. Because I have some familiarity with your situation, Natalie, this term really spoke to me. So what are your thoughts on the term, and do you believe that could have possibly been what was done to you?
It most definitely was done to me. Excuse me. That's actually one of the things he got charged with. He was in my life, he was my sister's boyfriend. He was the father of my nephew. He was somebody that was in my life constantly. I mean, he worked for us. He lived with us part-time. He was just considered family, but he would sit there and build this relationship with me and make me trust him. And then he would sit there and do little things like a little flirt here and a little flirt there, just to see how I reacted to it. And then it went further and further and further.
So how old were you when he first started grooming you?
God, I mean, I remember all the way back as like 10, 11, like as early as then. But I mean, nothing ever really happened until I was about 13.
So they say no one is immune to it, especially minors, because they are so naive. Do you feel, and it has a great deal to do with gullibility, insecurity, and vulnerability.
Definitely.
Do you feel that you were vulnerable at the time and the abuser played on that?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, he knew what I was struggling with mentally. I was already going through a lot, and he became my best friend, and I opened up to him about all of the things that was running through my head. I used to cut myself. I had suicide thoughts, like I was in a really dark place. I had another older man locally actually trying to do the same thing. He was trying to get me out of my house, sneak out of my house to go meet him and have sex with him. And I didn't want to. So he actually protected me from him and kind of played off of everything that I was already going through,
right,
just to make me that more vulnerable to him and his attention, because I needed that support and attention because I wasn't getting it elsewhere. And so he really did play on that.
And so that's what they do. They don't jump right into sexual abusing their victim. They begin with building a friendship and building trust.
He became my best friend, and that's why for so long I protected him, because I felt he had protected me. You know what I mean? It took me a long time to get out of the mindset that he wasn't protecting me and I didn't need to protect him, because he had convinced me I need to protect him.
And how long was it before you realized that?
I was about 16
so
when
this went on for 3 years.
I finally had enough. I finally realized I couldn't do it anymore. I had tried having other normal teenage relationships. I mean, there's several guys that I went out with or I slept with, and I slept with more guys when I was a teenager because of what I went through with him. I thought it was normal that you just spread your legs. That's what guys want. That's what you do. I didn't know any better. And that really goes along with being judged and what you have to go through, not only in the abuse itself, but in the aftermath in the aftermath of it, of what other judgments and harsh situations you get put in because
And
of it.
that's another thing, because, reading into this, it says research has found that there are both internal and external barriers that prevent a victim from disclosing abuse. Guilt, shame, self-blame, fear, lack of understanding, and sometimes it's the relationship with the abuser, because a study has actually found that only 7% of those abused are abused by strangers.
Yeah.
Most are abused by family members or a friend of the family.
It's always somebody you wouldn't
And so that
think.
shame keeps you quiet. That
does.
guilt keeps you quiet. And that blame, self-blame.
I blamed myself, and it didn't help that I had other people telling me that I was to blame. My 2 sisters don't talk to me. I had so many friends that disowned me. I had people in school come up to me and go, "Oh, you're that girl that fucks that 30-year-old." Like random people I didn't know. So it was
Right.
just like constantly hearing that made me I didn't want to go get justice. I thought I was in the wrong.
Shame is one of the worst after effects of sexual abuse.
It is. It takes a long healing process. I mean, I've just now gotten to the point where I can talk about it freely and be comfortable speaking on my feelings and really understanding how I do feel about it in a healthy manner.
Right. So I'm going to go over some of the symptoms of sexual assault. And sexual assault, the symptoms overlap with rape trauma. So intrusive thoughts, flashbacks, nightmares, trouble concentrating, social withdrawal, emotional avoidance, depression, anxiety, self-blame and guilt, self-doubt, self-harming behaviors, memory loss.
That's what I really do struggle with.
Being over-sexual,
Yep.
promiscuity. So, I mean, how many of those do you suffer from? Because even from what we've just talked about,
I've listed a good amount of them.
You really have.
Yeah, I mean, Preston has giving birth to him and even getting pregnant with him, he changed me. He saved my life. He really did. And that's no exaggeration. He gave me the strength. Sorry, I'm going to get emotional.
You're fine.
He gave me the strength to realize what I was capable of, what I deserved, you know. And that's at that point.
He brought worth to your life. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He showed me what I was worth and that I had a purpose in life, and I needed to find that closure to the past so I could give him a good childhood, because I need to focus on him, not myself. So I need to heal all my issues so I can be the best mom I can be. You know, it's not about me anymore. It's about him. So I need to get my shit together.
So what does that healing process look like for you, Natbug? I mean, what stage of the healing process are you even in? Because you're obviously at the stage where you can speak on it, but you're still very emotional.
Yeah, I think Preston's honestly what I'm more emotional about even than the Josh situation. I just want to be, right now I'm in the stage where I've gotten past the anxiety and the depression. I still get the flashbacks sometimes. There's a show that Hunter watches. It's a mechanic show. And one of the main stars on there could be Josh's twin. I mean, the nose, the face, the beard, the way he talks, carries himself, being a mechanic, talking about beer, like flashback central. I can't watch that show.
Right.
But for the most part, I did go through all of those things you listed off, but I've gotten past the majority of them. You know, there's still things I struggle with here and there. I still have my bad days, but overall, I really have gotten through it.
Do you struggle with intimacy with your friends and in relationships?
Most definitely. I think that would be the one thing I'd say that really does still affects me out of all of it is my trust in others, whether it be between me and my partner, you know, Hunter, in our intimate relationship. You know, we have our struggles. and whether it be but friendships. And that's not just because of Josh, that's other relationships, you know, friends that have screwed me over and done things. But I do really have trust issues when it comes to friends. And even as far as like with my child, I don't allow Preston to go to daycare. I don't allow him to go stay with ever at somebody's house. Like, he's allowed over at 1 to 2 people's houses, and that's it.
It's crazy how it affects.
It's crazy. And I feel bad because
good.
I feel like I'm going to be like a little hover mom over Preston.
But to me, if you have to pick the two extremes, like not caring or caring too much,
I'm going to care too much
every
100%.
Time. Same here.
My baby's the only thing that matters.
So what kind of coping skills do you use? I mean, what, like when you are watching the mechanics show and it triggers you, I mean, because you can't just walk out of the room and it just go away. It's not how it works, as you well know.
Yeah. I do a lot of meditation, yoga. You know, I'm a very spiritual person. So going and working with my crystals, going and working on my dream catchers, or doing something hands-on with my crafts for work, something to get my mind into that calm state, get my mind off it, because that's all you need to do. You just need to change your perspective, change the way you look at the situation, change what you're thinking about, take control over your thoughts.
And knowing that it was never your fault.
Yeah, and knowing it was never your fault, that's a big thing. Don't ever let anybody tell you it was your fault. Don't ever let 13, anybody put you down.
How old was he when you were 13?
28.
So he was old enough 30. To know what he was doing. And you, on the other hand, were not.
Yeah, and like I've had people tell me, oh, 13, you're old enough to know it was wrong. To an extent, I felt deep down it was wrong. But after all those years of grooming and trusting him, I really didn't. Wasn't out of the ordinary for me. I mean, he promised me we were going to get married. We were in a relationship. He was only with me. You know, I was the one for him. We were eventually going to have kids.
Were you the only one?
No. Oh my gosh.
Were you the only one he groomed?
Oh, for sure, no. And that's one of the main reasons why I did eventually get him arrested and get justice, was because the situation where he was in when I was pregnant with Preston, going through those emotions of wanting to do something but not really wanting to at the same time, wanting to face it. I knew he was in a situation where he was around kids and the mom wasn't aware, didn't care, wasn't protecting the children. I had confronted her.
Not at all. I witnessed
and she
that.
was there in the trial crying that he went to jail after I just did my witness statement. Like, she was the one crying. And I was like, lady, get the freak out of the room. Like, who are you?
Right.
Now she has a kid with him, so he's now got another child into this world. And I feel so bad, like, for my nephew, because I never wanted him to lose his father. And I feel really bad that he did have to have him taken away. But I also want him to know that the actions his father had and what he did was not okay.
Right.
And he can't learn that if he never gets held accountable for his actions. You know, he's going to grow up thinking that it's okay. And Josh would keep doing it. I mean, he'd still be hurting people. You know, I couldn't do anything about the multiple children I know about that I won't name.
That is kudos to you, because I have to speak to this. My sister and I were both sexually molested at a very young age by a friend of the family. And my mom actually did not press charges against the gentleman. She just basically threatened his life and sent him on his way. And so my sister and I have often wondered how many children, we're talking the age of 4 and the age of 2. Yeah. How many children?
Babies at that age.
How many babies did he go on
to hurt? Yeah. It is really hard. And I was abused.
Kudos to you for speaking up.
Yeah, I was abused by not only him. I mean, I was abused before him. and by another really close person. And I really feel like that may have opened me up even more to that, because I mean, I'm a very spiritual person.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten reads done, and I'm not going to speak on who, but to my understanding, I was sexually abused around the age of 4 to 5 by somebody very close to me. And then later on, I feel that my other family members my age were also abused by somebody because they touched me as a child, and children don't touch other children.
Behavior.
It's a learned behavior. 7, 8-year-olds don't touch each other just because they think it's fun and they're horny. They don't know that.
They've been exposed. And so between, the first trauma that I can't remember, the traumas that I do remember, I really think that did open the door for Josh. And I think he knew those traumas that I've been through. I think he knew they were going on. And I think that's another thing that he played off of to victimize me even further. Right.
And, as far as your mom not ever doing anything, I do understand that, because Dad never did anything.
She didn't want us to experience having to go into a courtroom. Yeah. I mean, we were little. I wouldn't have even been able to speak on it. My sister would have been speaking on my behalf for crying out loud. So yeah, I mean, I get it, but I get it. Gosh, man, it's a struggle. It's a struggle.
I struggle to talk about this because I do love my dad, but I do hold a little bit of resentment deep down in me that he didn't go and get him arrested. When I wrote him a letter, that's how my dad found out about Josh. He had no idea it was going on, but at 16, I wrote him a letter, and with the encouragement of a good friend of mine, who looked out for me and said, look, I'm not going to let you go through this anymore. Either you tell your dad or I'm telling him. And I said, okay, let me do it. And that's what finally was like, I wanted to get away, but I didn't have the strength through. And that friend really pushed me to do it. And kudos to you, friend. You know who you are if you listen to this. So yeah, it is like a little bit of a grudge that you hold. Like, why didn't you stand up for me?
Right.
Like, I cried to Hunter the other day and was like, over something little. He didn't stick up to me for his dad. His dad came and cussed me for leaving the hose on up at the critter pen. And I was like, aren't you going to tell him he can't talk to me like that? And he wouldn't. And so I started bawling my eyes out and was like, I never had anybody stand up for me. Like, aren't you going to? Like, this is what I need.
Right.
And like, he was like, whoa, like, where did all that emotion and hurt come from over this little bitty situation? So, it really does still affect me, and sometimes I don't recognize that that's what it is, but it is.
Triggers.
So, yeah, it is triggers. And those are triggers that I'm continuously recognizing, learning how to deal with and heal from, And once I learn a new trigger, I figure out what I can do to help that. What do I need to help heal that, And I do a lot of the spiritual work to help me, get answers, speak to those past family members or spirit guides or whoever it is that can help guide me where I need to go. Like, I know I have a purpose. I know I'm here to do something to help somebody. I just don't quite know what it is yet.
So do you feel the crystals help? And tell us about your crystals, Natalie.
Yeah, most definitely. I have been doing crystals and metaphysical work, doing some spiritual work, yoga, meditation.
You actually sell crystals now, right?
Yeah.
And what is the name of your business?
Natalie's Metaphysical Boutique.
Very nice.
I do vending.
And can we find you on Facebook?
Yes, you can. Facebook, Instagram, and I'll have a website soon. Yeah, honestly, like they all have different purposes. Like I wear them on my wrist, my hands are
She's
full
loaded
of
down
them.
and they are beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, I like even right now I have got my amethyst on to help keep my nerves down because I am a little,
I can hear it in your voice. It's a little shaky.
Yeah. It's hard to talk about, even though I've spoken on it so many times. I mean, even in court going and doing it, it's still, I can talk about it and I'm not going to go cry my eyes out later over having to have talk about it. Like I'm going to be happy that I got it out,
Right.
like maybe my story can help somebody. That's all I want. I want somebody to be saved from the situation that they're in
Right.
and be able to know that you can get past it. You can heal. And if you need any help, come talk to me. I'll be your friend and help you through it,
Right. And what advice would you give someone, who's out here that is being groomed and maybe, after hearing this and hearing about what grooming is, recognizes that? What advice would you give them?
Run. Honestly, as simple as that, as hard as it is, no matter who it is, whether it's a cousin, a friend, a dad, a grandparent, God forbid, anybody, a sibling, whoever it is, however hard it is to come out and tell one person.
And what
That's
advice
all it
would you
takes.
give? What advice would you give to the people that tell someone and that someone is not there, does not?
If that person
Tell another
doesn't listen
one.
to you, keep going. Keep going until you find somebody that's going to protect you the way you need to be protected, because you do need to be protected. You're worthy of being protected. You don't deserve to go through any of that trauma. Keep going. Keep looking for somebody. Go to a trusted adult if you're a kid. If you're an adult, go to a friend, go to a family member, go to the police station, God forbid. I know it's hard to do, but you just got to do it, and even
because chances are you're not the only victim.
No.
So you're not just saving yourself,
No.
you would be
And
saving other people.
They say that, people that do it once are that much more likely
Prone
to do
to-
it
yeah.
again. They don't let out a lot of rapists and sexual offenders because of their chance of reoffending,
Mhm.
And so don't think that you're alone. You're probably not as alone as a victim. You're probably not the only one going through it. And if that's what pushes you to go say something like it did for me, then use it.
Yeah,
No,
if you're
not
telling
the
to
only
protect
one.
other people, not just yourself.
Yeah,
then
protect
definitely.
yourself, but also protect the others. Because if you don't protect yourself, more people probably will get hurt, and you can't blame yourself for that. Like I said, well, what if I had spoken out sooner? Would these people or these children not have gotten hurt? And that's not my responsibility.
Right, it's
I
not.
didn't touch the child. I was a child, and you have to acknowledge the fact that you can't stop it. Things happen in people's life. We all go through our own stuff. It's how we choose to heal from it and move
If
forward
we even
from
choose
it.
to heal,
Yeah.
because some people continue.
Some people, it's a hard cycle. And I didn't want to get stuck in that cycle. I wanted to heal. I know I'm capable of amazing things, and I'm going to do stuff in life.
Yes.
And I'm not going to let something somebody did to me hold me back, because then they win.
Yes.
You can't let them win. Don't let them win. You win.
Right.
This is your life. You get what you want. You manifest that
Yes,
shit. You
manifestations.
live your life. You get what you want, and you don't let anybody hold you back. Don't let those demons, those evil
Control
people
you.
control you. Don't let them stop you, because that's all it is. It's a test to see how strong you are, and if you can withstand the stuff life's gonna throw at you. Life throws hard stuff at you, but you just have to be able to get through it and change your perspective, because perspective is everything.
Well, this story and the fact that you came on to share it is definitely a testimony to your strength. So kudos, Nat Bug.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So listen, people, being sexually assaulted is something that is extremely traumatic. but it doesn't have to ruin your life. Many survivors move forward in healthy ways and recover from their traumatic experiences, as Natalie is here to attest to. Listen, ways you can support someone that you know that has experienced sexual trauma. Thank them for telling you. This shows that you appreciate the trust that they've placed in you. Ask how you can help. And this is not a one-time offer advice. Tell them what they should or shouldn't do. Just ask them how you can help. And look, this is very important. Listen without judgment. Yep. Because far too often, gosh, and I've caught myself doing it. I've tried to get better, but judgment, it's horrible. Don't interrupt them, compare your own experience, or try to even minimize their suffering, because everyone deals with things differently. Everyone is so very different. And keep supporting.
And even two people could go through the same exact thing and feel two complete, like, I handle my situation one way, you handle your situations one way. It could affect one of us more totally than the different. Other going through the same exact thing. So you can never look at somebody's what they've been through and be like, oh, I'd be fine, because you don't know.
Right,
they can be and completely
if someone goes
not
through
fine.
This and says that they're fine,
they're probably not.
They're not fine. They're not fine. So listen, if you find yourself in a relationship at the hands of a groomer or sexually assaulted, find a third party to talk to, ideally a professional who doesn't know you or the perpetrator. And you can do this by calling 1-800-799-7233. That's the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Or Victim Connect Resource Center. That number is 855-484-2846. Services like this are confidential and will connect you with a professional who can help you determine what your next step should be. Don't do nothing. Take that step and know that there's always someone there to help you walk through the fire, so to speak.
And I know this sounds crazy, but if nobody listens to you, call Steve Wilkos. I know that's like out there, but literally I called him and I almost went up there before all of this. I was about to take his ass up there and put him on a lie detector test and be like, look, this is what you did. You're going to own up to it. Right. You know, it's time that you own up to what you did. And you know what? Steve Wilkos show, they're awesome. They called me back the next day. Like they were going to come get me and take me up to Connecticut. So seriously, I know that's out there, but if you can't get help anywhere else, that's an odd place you can go that will seriously help you.
Now speak to that a little bit more. Who is that?
So Steve Wilkos, he is a talk show. He does lie detector tests. So basically, if you're going through a situation that somebody's hurting you and you're afraid, like you wouldn't have enough evidence to go to the police or something, or some people aren't believing you, the police aren't believing, like whatever it is, you can go and get a lie detector test. Now, granted, can't be used in all states. I don't know how Maryland is, but it at least gives you that peace of mind, and it gives you a voice to be able to put that person in their place and make them be accountable for what they did, because you can't fake a lie detector test. I mean, them things are 99% accurate.
Right.
So it's just, that's just another odd way to throw out there
you
that
really,
if you need help.
You really reached for that, didn't you?
I did. I needed help. I needed somebody to help me.
Somebody to listen, it sounds like, too.
Yeah. I just wanted.
So do you think that the people that you were closest with knew what was going on and never spoke up?
Definitely my best friend at the time, you know who that was.
Yes.
She not only knew about it, but her and her sister both were sleeping with him also. They very much knew what was going on.
What he was about, right?
They knew
what was going on.
And the older sister was, you know, obviously able consent, but my best friend was too young could have been on the same boat as me, except for she knew what she was doing, and I had already been in it for 3 years and was trying to find my way out.
Right. Wow.
So my best friend knew. I had friends that I confided in, and I did have a few try to help me, but their voices were never heard when they did try to speak out for me. So the ones that did, they couldn't do anything,
right?
You know, and then the people that I needed to, they didn't, and I don't I hate making my parents feel guilty about the situation, because I don't want them to live the rest of their life in guilt that I went through what I did. And I'm not by any means trying to place the guilt upon them, but I do recognize the fact that if I had that support, things might have been different. There's a saying that ever since I've heard it, it's really stuck with me. It says, I forgive you as a daughter, but as a parent, I could never. And I live by that. It's like, I forgive you because I love you, and I don't want you to feel any type of way, and I don't want you to live with guilt. But
as a parent, how could you?
Yeah, how could you? How could you do that? How could you let me just... in the house? And then not even that, but after it was over with, my dad continued to still let him work there. And he worked there up until the day I got him arrested. I had to go find other jobs because I wasn't comfortable working for my dad. And that hindered, I could be owning a business right now. I could be running my dad's company. But because I didn't want to be around that anymore and was trying to heal, and he wasn't willing to let go of him to let me heal, that hindered that. And so it's hard to be I could never do that to my kid,
right?
But I forgive you because I love you, and I know people make mistakes, and they recognize the fact oh shit, I wish I had done something different. I wish I had done something different. So, yeah.
Well, Natalie, I appreciate you coming on today. Really, I hope that if only a handful of people hear this and it helps them, well, you know what? That's a handful of people that are saved. So thank you honestly, so much.
If anybody that hears this that is going through anything, if you need anything, reach out to somebody. Even if that somebody is me. If you need somebody, I will be there. I don't care who you are. I don't care if I don't know you from Adam and Eve. I will be there to support you, be your friend, talk to you. Hell, I'll take you to the damn police station and help you get justice. Whatever somebody needs, I will be there, because I know I needed that person. So if I can be that person for somebody, I'll be glad to.
Good for you.
My phone number is 410-430-3509. And again, Natalie's Metaphysical Boutiques. Message me if you need anything. I'm there.
Anyway, thanks again, everyone. Please share, follow. If you have a similar story and you want to share it, please reach out. I will get you on the show. You can be anonymous. You can say who you are. It doesn't matter. Look, here, we're judgment free. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for listening. And Natbug, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.